What a face. When it comes to training your pooch, Catherine Newman is always a wealth of knowledge. And today, she is back to share her wisdom with one of my personal favorite guests, Gracie, who just gave me a big hug before we came on, so a little hair.
Little hair. Her love will be with you all day.
Oh, that's great. I love that. So how are you?
I'm doing well.
And what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about barking dogs. I get lots of calls in the training business about dogs that bark all the time, and what can we do to prevent it, what can we do to cure it. The first thing that to keep in mind is that some dogs like to bark. So if you've got a young puppy, don't encourage it. And I run into so many clients with puppies.
They think it's cute.
Oh, they think it's terribly cute. And two things, jumping and barking. And so they encourage it. And they go, look, he's begging for a treat, and he'll bark, bark, bark. So the first thing is, if your puppy's barking, ignore him, walk away. Don't give him the attention that he's seeking out. The second thing that's important is with young dogs, teach them to be quiet in their crate. And that's what I'd like to demonstrate right here. First of all, Grace, kennel. Make sure that your dog is comfortable in their crate, that it's in a location that there isn't a whole lot of activity, but they aren't completely isolated away.
Okay.
The other thing, too, is make sure your dog is comfortable being in the crate when you're home, Brad. Most people will only use their crate when they leave to run errands or go to work or to go to school. Well, the problem with that is your dog knows they're being left alone for long periods of time. Grace, crate, kennel.
Yeah, I'm not helping out here.
Yeah, so that's okay. So what happens is that we want our dog to understand that it's fun and safe to be in their crate. And when you put them in their crate...
Isn't that fun, Gracie?
Oh, it's great. Give them treats. Whenever you walk by them, they're in their crate, they're being quiet, give them a treat. Now, another thing that you can do when they're in their crate is give them what we call a stuffed Kong. This is a Kong toy. You can stuff it with meat and cheese and dog food, put it in the crate, and it acts as a pacifier. They'll focus on this versus barking. So those are a couple things that you can do to prevent barking.
Okay.
Now let's say your dog is barking. We've all heard about squirt guns, and we've heard about shaker cans, and they're generally what I call one-time wonders. They work the first time, but after a couple of times your dogs recognize there really isn't much to them. What I tend to do if I've got a dog that's barking at the door or barking out in the yard is I have them sit on command. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate what I call a remote sit.
Okay.
So we're going to have Grace come out here. And what I need to do is to get Grace to move away from me to pretend that she's barking. So what we're going to do is I'm going to toss the treat over in that direction. She's going to move over there, but as soon as she picks it up, Grace, sit. And of course our dog sits. Now a dog that's sitting cannot bark, Brad.
Really?
Yeah, well, a few dogs can, but most of them can't.
Huh.
And
it's not that.
Yeah, it's not that they physically can't do it. They physically can bark, but they won't, because when you trained the sit and the sit-stay, barking wasn't part of that training exercise. So if she's following the sit-stay, it means that she's got to sit and be quiet. So by training a dog to sit at the door when they're barking, if they're out in the yard barking, have them sit. Or even if they charge a window and they're barking, have them sit. Then you can reward them.
Okay. Also, you can give them a timeout if they
Absolutely.
are going nuts on you.
If your dog isn't to the point where you've trained a remote sit and they're barking, barking, barking at the window, give them one warning and redirect them. Bring them away from the window, have them sit, have them lay down close to you. But if they go back to the window or continue to bark, go over and take them by the collar.
Uh-oh.
Tell them
You're
no.
in trouble now, Gracie.
Okay, Grace, let's go. And have them kennel up. And what happens is it just gives them a timeout. And they realize that, you know what? When I bark, fun time ends. I have to go and sit in my corner. So you can either have them do a sit-stay, but I like to do timeouts in the kennel.
Works for me as well. All right, Catherine, thank you so much. It's always a
welcome.
pleasure. And Gracie, thank you. We appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
And for more information on training your dogs, you can call Catherine at Augusta Training Systems, and that number is 952-892-0292. And once again, thanks so much for being with us today.